we just don't give up. We keep trying and trying to find a solution.
So welcome to the next episode of the Bridging Divides podcast, where we help bridge the divide between you and your success by giving you the advice, tools, and resources that you need. We do this by talking to the amazing individuals out there in the world that have had success bridging the divides in their lives and in the lives around them. So I'm very excited to talk to our guest today, Angela Tauscher, the owner of Rover Realty. Last year, I'll get to this one in a second because that's my most exciting one. But just to list a couple of her accolades here. She has a bachelor's from the University of Oregon, 6 years in the Army Reserves, 1 year active duty in Operation Enduring Freedom, which that one holds a close place for my heart. And I'll talk about that in a sec. Claims negotiator, certified divorce real estate specialist, and you were in the Graduate Realtor Institute.
So it's called the GRI. In the real estate world, it's like having a graduate degree.
Love that. That's fantastic. And one of the ones that I found the most shocking, which was so exciting, is that last year, was it? You had $35 million in homes sold.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great year.
That is absolutely incredible and has sold over 500 homes since the time that you've started.
Just
around
about
500.
500.
Around, okay.
We're coming up on it.
There you go. Around 500.
But you could be number 500 if you know.
There you go. Well, hey, we'll go. Hopefully we can get some people here to make that number. We're so excited to have you, Angela. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mitch. This is pretty exciting. I love your new exciting adventure, and I feel honored to be picked to get to speak with you today.
Yeah, no, thank you. And so just a little bit to kind of talk about kind of how Angela and I know each other. We're part of the same networking group. And when I had started there, I was deer in the headlights, very much just like, and I'm sure that you saw that. Probably everybody saw that,
You look great.
Yeah. I mean, it looked good, sure. This dad bod is, it took years of work. But yeah, Angela definitely helped give me a lot of advice, which you do for so many people that I have personally talked to that have talked about your influence and your desire to help them grow and develop into the successful human beings that they want to be.
That's my favorite. Taking a business owner that's new to networking, maybe just newer to business in general, and helping them just see the potential out there, opportunities to cross-market, just grow. There's nothing sweeter than seeing their success, and feeling like you got a part of that contribution is pretty exciting. And it just, in a world of craziness in real estate, it helps refill my cup. So I love doing that kind of stuff.
No, I love that. And I think that you kind of touched on something, filling your cup. I think that when an individual business owner, whoever, is focusing just on making money, it stops there. Once you make the sale or whatever, however they needed to get there, dog eat dog,
Right.
as you say, the fulfillment stops there. They made the money, and good luck getting referrals and repeat business.
Very transactional.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that ultimately the fulfillment in what you're doing is just not there. It's not filling your cup and building relationships with people.
I agree.
Yeah, one of the things that really impressed me about you was when my sister-in-law and brother-in-law were looking for a house, and it didn't end up happening, but you still ended up giving them so much help and checking up on them and making sure that they were good. Hey, did they get what they needed? Even though that there was no financial benefit. Yeah. But if you think about the best business practice is to not be purely focused on that money aspect.
Absolutely. There's still, they're a brand new couple or new family.
Yeah.
There's so many things to learn and know as you navigate through the world of adulting and doing it together as a new married couple. And if, hey, we can help them, miss a few road bumps or soften some of that, I think why not? I mean, what does it cost me but a moment of my time to just check in with them and help them in any way, shape, or possible. And speaking of them, I just got a picture of your beautiful nephew, right?
Yeah.
Little boy, yeah.
Yes.
Of your
Yes.
brand new nephew just a couple days ago. I'm
Oh,
so
cool.
excited for them.
Yeah, no, they're doing great, and I'm just absolutely thrilled with how they're doing. But moving on here, fun fact that we just kind of wanted to break the ice here.
Okay.
What I thought was so funny. So you joined the military, which I was in the Navy. My brother was Army. My dad was Army.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was Air Force. No Marines, because
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I won't
Air
talk
Force, you
about
get like
that.
a hotel.
Yeah,
you know.
the chair force. Yeah, we tease each other about that all the
Right.
time. But I love that you said that you joined the military so that you could fly somewhere.
Yeah.
Not like be a pilot,
No.
but like go on a plane ride.
A plane ride.
Oh, that is so funny to me.
As you know from my background, I did not grow up with a whole lot of anything.
Right.
We were very, very poor. And yeah, and I just had this dream. I've been an avid reader from the second you could put a book in my hands. And that opened up whole new worlds for me. And I knew about all these places, but I couldn't see how I'd ever be able to go somewhere. When you grow up poor and you don't have a lot, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
To the point of, I think I was telling you the other day, helping my parents as a grown adult with my own children to purchase their first home.
Yeah.
And not because they probably couldn't have financially done it years and years before. They didn't know how to go about it.
Yeah.
They didn't know the process. They just assumed, there's a lot of people out there who think they have to have bazillion dollars sitting
Yeah.
in the bank.
Mhm, mhm.
And so for me, yeah, way back when, what I didn't know was what it would take to get on a plane, how much it would cost, and how I'd make that happen. And the military put that in front of me, and I said, sold, let's go.
Yeah, no, and I still remember the phone call I got at 18 or whatever, and telling me about all these different things and about different things you can do. But
Yeah.
no, that's fantastic. I absolutely love that. Now, kind of moving on. So hearing about Angela and everything that she's doing, I want to talk about really kind of getting into the meat of this is what divides your bridging, and you had talked about, I mean, obviously you sell homes and that sort of a thing, and but there's a lot more that goes into the why and the how of how you do that, right? And so just kind of wanted to touch on a couple of those things. You had talked on providing an equal opportunity in services and education within the real estate industry. I thought, you want to touch on that?
Yeah,
Kind of go into detail there.
Absolutely, Mitch. It's twofold. One is helping to educate the real estate professionals within our own industry.
Right.
Unfortunately, there's a very low barrier to enter the real estate world.
Yeah.
You take a test and you pay some fees, and now you're a realtor.
Right.
And I find that, statistics back me up, that the bulk of the real estate professionals out there, they sell 4 houses or less a year.
Yeah.
And I just find it hard to believe that, I know because I see it on the other side, that they're doing the best possible job for their clients and for their sphere of people in making one of the largest purchases of more often than not people's lives.
It's a big deal. It's not like,
and they're
you're
working
just
a full-time job still because they can't afford to take the leap, and too often they don't know what the rules. They don't know the contracts. They don't know what they can and can't do to help their clients. So it's a twofold answer. One is I really enjoy working with real estate agents, newer real estate agents, to bring that level of knowledge, expertise, professionalism up so that we have more people out there that take this profession seriously and acknowledge how important it is to take care of these people. And then on the second half of that is, because I did grow up poor, I didn't know people that owned homes. I didn't know how that was a possibility.
Yeah.
And it was a huge learning curve to go from where I was to where I am now. And here you have, I literally heard this from, and I am hate to say this, but I heard a realtor say just last month that he felt poor people shouldn't be allowed to vote. Now, if you've got people thinking
How does
things
that
like
even
that,
make sense?
I don't, I was once a poor person.
Yeah.
And you know
like,
what?
you're not going to get much traction with that
Right?
viewpoint with me.
But where do you think that viewpoint stops at? And where does it expand over to?
Absolutely.
The person that can only afford the $200,000 house, the person that can
Right.
only afford the $500,000. Where do we stop that?
Mhm.
I've had another realtor say to me, "Oh, well, you've been really successful because you're pretty."
Well, thank you. I'm flattered.
What?
but
Had nothing to do
it's
with,
not
grit,
I-
work,
I was gonna say,
tenacity,
it's like,
discipline,
Yeah.
where do I, so you have people out there that are having these kind of thoughts, and feel free to express these thoughts, unfortunately. And I feel like that is a problem for the folks we're trying to help. Are they really being taken seriously? Are they being helped in the manner that they deserve because of their price point, because of the way they look, because of their sexual orientation?
Or whatever it is.
Whatever. What does that look like? And how, as a realtor, can go out and make sure that what I'm educating my clients on is the same across the board.
Yeah.
That everybody deserves to have all of the information, regardless of their price point. We here at Rover, we've serviced everything from $60,000 mobile homes up to, I sold a $5.2 million house last year. And our $60,000 mobile home is getting the same opportunity at staging. We don't charge anything for it. They get light staging. We're staging their home at a very different price point as our extremely high-end homes. And we do it because it's the right thing to do. We don't pick and choose who we're giving the full package to or not. And so in real estate, unfortunately, it really sheds a lot of light on some inequalities, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and that's I think you touched on a lot of
Sorry, a lot to unpack
points.
there.
No need to apologize. I mean, that's why we're having this conversation, is to touch on a lot of those divides that are out there. You touched on so many different things, and I think that really that just sheds light on the why of what you're doing, which I think is definitely very noble and very ultimately, I feel like that is what is going to come back around to you, and it's, you obviously have a business, you're trying to sell homes and all of these different things, but one of my favorite books, and we'll get to books here in just a minute, but one of my favorite ones that I've been reading recently is called the Go-Giver.
Mm-hmm. Read it.
Which it's incredible.
Yeah.
But he talks about, giving value in whatever it is that you're doing, and mentions something called enlightened self-interest, which I thought was interesting. It seems a little contradictory, but essentially that the best way to help yourself is by giving value to other people.
Yeah.
Because really, when you think about it, that is what is going to set you apart, and it ultimately is going to say, instead of saying, thank you for helping buy a house, see you later.
Right.
You'll never talk to you again. It's, you're building a relationship with that person, and not just building a relationship so that you can manipulate something out of them, but genuinely building a relationship with them. That is what is going to, and this is for anybody in any sort of sales position. You're building a relationship with somebody that is going to you're going to have less buyer's remorse. You're going to have repeat customers. You're going to have more referrals. Yeah. And you correct me if I'm wrong. How have you seen that work with what you've done? This $35 million, that's a big milestone.
It's been great for us. We don't buy leads. We never have purchased leads.
Which
work
saves
by
you money.
Referral, right? And it's ironic, actually. The year before that, we had done $30 million, and but halfway through last year, for those of you who don't know, the real estate market pretty much came to a halt last summer, and a lot of people started looking for jobs.
Yeah.
We actually gained by $5 million in the year when the real estate just kind of tanked for about 6-7 months.
Huge.
So we've only grown every single year that we've been in business. We've, knock on wood,
Yeah.
going back this year. But to your point, my motto is ask questions, add value. I
Love
feel
that.
very
Love that
strongly
so much.
in asking questions so that I can add value. I went to lunch with somebody a couple months ago, and without asking me any questions, they ordered on my behalf. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. And they ordered seafood. Well, guess what? I can't eat seafood. Not only is it not my taste, but I'm pretty sure I'm allergic because of my reactions to shots. I can't do anything shellfish wise,
It's
and I thought, wow.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I just thought, wow, they are totally missing it here,
Mm-hmm.
because it's important to ask questions to add value. We've had people that have said to us before, I got to have a golf course lot. I want a golf course lot. And when you stop, it's kind of hard to find golf course lots sometimes at certain price points. And I go, well, Mitch, tell me, why do you want a golf course lot? What does that look like to you? Do you like to play golf? No, I don't like to play golf. Okay, so why do you want a golf course lot?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't like feeling enclosed. The block walls make me feel really tight. So what if we were to find you a lot that's just a view fence onto
Love
maybe
that.
a green span or a park or something other than the golf course that you're not going to pay $1 billion more for?
Right.
Oh,
Exactly.
you can do that?
'Cause
Yeah.
100%. And
Okay.
I love that so much. And I tend to get on obsessions of certain things, and my wife, I'm sure she'll roll her eyes when she hears this, but like I kind of jumped in when I started reading the Go Giver book. They've got like 4 or 5 different ones, and one of them is called the Go Givers Sell More. And I'm not traditionally, I've thought like sales, like gross, but if you think about it, anything that you're passionate about, that you're trying to get people involved in, you're selling.
You are.
And it has like this gross connotation for a lot of people, but I think that that's just because of the what's the motivation behind what people are doing, right? But I think that the best way to sell, and this is what they talk about in the Go Giver Sell More book, is that very very thing that you talk about, asking questions so that you know exactly what the motivation is behind what they're needing, or what they're saying on the outside is, I want this. And if you go into the why, then a lot of times you can even find something that's even better for them.
Yeah.
You just mentioned, it's like with that example, you want the golf course because you want the open field. It's like, okay, well, what if we got you the open field without the extra cost?
Right.
Can
we do that?
And yeah, let's.
Yeah.
Option B, please.
Yeah.
And so that's I love that you talk about that. So one of the things that you mentioned here, in when you had sent me the answers for the questions I sent you, I love that you said, my job is not to convince anyone what they should do, or what they should or should not buy, but to make sure that they're educated.
Absolutely.
When I was buying my home, it was like 6 years ago now. Luckily, I had a very good realtor. He's a friend of mine. He's very experienced in what he does, and he was telling me that the selling agent was like, "What are you doing? Like, your job." And he's like, well, "I'm trying to make sure that they know what they're getting into, that they know all the ins and outs, that they know exactly what they're doing, and make sure that they feel comfortable in the decision that they're making."
Absolutely.
Again, just a great person. Jeremy, I love you, brother. Yeah, he's my best friend. But he said, but she says, your job is not to do what you just said, essentially. It's to make sure that they sign the papers and buy the house no matter what.
Whoa.
And he was just like,
probably not a big referral oriented person.
And again, what does that do? That he goes all of a sudden, okay, I don't want to work with you. I'm not going to send business your way in the future. I don't want to do, I'm not going to send anybody to you. I don't want to do it. It's just, you're shooting yourself in the foot when you think that way. And to reference your tagline,
It's a dog eat dog world out there. At Rover, we want to make sure you come out on top of the pack.
I love that. And so unfortunately, with a lot of professions, which we have a lot of good friends that do like mortgages and title and escrow,
Yes.
that are also that have this kind of go-giver mentality or this value-adding mentality. But unfortunately, there are so many out there that do believe in the dog-eat-dog mentality. And so I definitely appreciate you being in a space like this where people can get swindled and then they can get taken advantage of, lied to, but flipping the script on that and really focusing on that value, which I think that that's fantastic.
Well, there's so many in real estate in general. There's so many opportunities. Unfortunately, people are getting scammed, whether it's on rentals. That's just rampant here. We have a huge issue with wire fraud. My own parents, before I was ever in real estate,
you mentioned.
actually tried to do a rent to own. That was a
Just a
nightmare.
disaster.
They paid on a house for 4 years, had to pay like a $10,000 entry fee on that on top of that, and then they were paying extra above and beyond every single month. I mean, they probably had $50,000 into it by the time they
Wow.
paid all of these extras every month, and then to get into it, only to have some little clause that once they got past paying a certain amount, didn't do anything wrong. Were kept paying for everything to be evicted, so that they could then turn around and pull the same scam on the next
Gracious
poor,
sakes.
unsuspecting people. And
That
there's
just don't
too many
know.
people out there. They think that the only way is this too good to be true, whatever that is, and they
Yeah.
don't have the resources, the means, or know the right people to really look into it, to investigate it. And it's rampant. There's large numbers in real estate, so there's larger opportunities for these not great people out there to take
Yeah.
advantage, unfortunately.
No, and you gotta, you've got to do what you can to make sure that I mean, you only can do so much, right, by yourself.
Right.
But I think that by doing business this way and showing not only the people that you're servicing, but also other agents, like you're saying, talking about educating and just kind of changing the way that they do business. I think that is definitely a way to spread that beyond just yourself.
Yeah,
which I think is great.
absolutely. I mean, if you just talking about the wire fraud, we really make sure our agents are taught, counseled, what a big deal it is that they need to tell the next person and the next person, because it may not directly affect us, but it affects somebody, and that's somebody's mother, brother, cousin. That there's a ripple effect. They
Absolutely.
have had their $100,000 for their deposit one moment, and the next moment it's gone, and now they don't have the money to also purchase the home. So I think it's our duty to help do what we can to share the right information, just to help protect people. What harm is it to have a conversation to make sure people are educated in various elements of real
Absolutely.
estate?
And that only comes back to you. I mean, we talk about karma and there's a whole bunch, a bunch of religions and philosophies and different things that attest to this fact that when you put that out,
Right.
it comes back to you more than you could have ever imagined. The kindness chaos theory, if you will, right?
like it,
So
yes.
you have no idea the whole butterfly effect that
Right.
has.
And you're not doing it to, for any financial goal or motive. It's just the right thing to do.
Hey guys, just want to take a quick break from our podcast to bring you a word from our sponsor, Phoenix Ray. They are your personal creative genius in all things graphic design, writing, video, motion graphics, illustration, and websites. They are the ones responsible for my logo, so thank you so much, Phoenix Ray. I love you guys so much. Now, they are celebrating 10 years of business, so they definitely know what they're doing. They have loads of experience. They work in areas of marketing, branding, events, weddings, and now publishing. So if you're a genre writer, you can submit your manuscripts today, so reach out to them for that. Now, to stop worrying about how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, or After Effects, call Phoenix Ray. Now, you can reach out to them at phoenixmarais.com. That's Phoenix as in the mythical creature that I'm hoping to become from the ashes of my many failed attempts at success. moirai.com. That is MOIRAI. Or you can call them at 480-573-1440. All right, we'll be back
It's the
to
right
it.
thing to do.
Right.
I mean, I've always been for the underdog. My maiden name is Justice.
I freaking love that.
I
It's
named
like-
my daughter Justice.
Yeah, I love it.
I was Sergeant Justice in the military for a long time. Of course, when Poetic Justice, the movie came out, they all just called me Poetic. By then, I had a daughter named Justice, so
Oh, that's beautiful.
we could clearly define
that's
who
beautiful.
was what.
I love that. I love that.
But
That's fun.
Yeah, always do the right thing.
Yeah, no, and I think that I mean, can definitely attest to, or kind of that shows itself in the success that has been that you've had. Let's see, we talked on. So again, I mean, we talk about kind of soapbox topics, and a lot of what you're saying, going for the underdog and all these different things. I'm just like, man, no wonder we were drawn, kind of as friends, and kind of developed this relationship that we have, just because there have been a lot of things in my life where I'm just like, when I'm in school and there's this kid getting picked on, it's just like, hey guys, like, knock it off,
Somebody's got to speak up.
Yeah, you really have to, and it's funny because you'd think as an adult a lot of those stereotypical high school things go away, but it's
Nope.
like if you're not speaking up, before, then that you've got to learn how to do it so that it doesn't happen to you in the future as an adult.
Yes.
But one of the things that you had mentioned was asking or trying to spread a greater level of education and professionalism in real estate agents, just because a lot of them seem like they're putting paychecks in front of the client's welfare.
Yeah.
You want to touch on that?
That is a problem I do think we have in our industry. People are very focused on paychecks. Keep in mind the stats. I don't know what the exact number, but I believe it's still over 90% of agents in Arizona sell 4 houses or less a year.
Yeah.
So we're not talking people that necessarily maybe have a great level of knowledge on what they can and can't do often. The funny thing is, we all, unless you're the designated broker, we all have a broker we can call,
Right.
or a mentor,
Right.
or a coach, or someone. And I think one of my biggest soapbox items is picking up the phone.
Yeah.
We are a community of keyboard warriors. And nobody just wants to pick up the phone and say, hey, we have an impasse, or we have a problem with this transaction.
Right.
And at the end of the day, what is most important is that your seller meets their needs and their buyer meets their needs. And instead of throwing a whole lot of ego into it, how can we take that ego out of the equation, pick up the phone, and find a solution?
Seek for understanding.
I'm a chief problem solver.
Yeah.
That's what I do all day long. And I think that even though I sometimes go home just drained, from solving a lot of problems, a lot of
Yeah.
it's perception.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's not even a physical problem in the transaction. It's just the perception of something, and helping to work through that problem. I've had other agents say, you're like the most tenacious agent I've ever worked with, because I don't give up ever until I get told, the door's slammed on us, that we just don't give up. We keep trying and trying to find a solution. But I think that's another thing that I really work on coaching these agents is pull the threads, ask the questions. If you see a dangling thread, just don't be like, oh, it must be blah, blah, blah. Don't make an assumption.
You're right.
We have a whole society full of people assuming things.
Yeah, we know what happens when we
Right?
assume, right?
Right? Yeah. So pull the thread, ask the question, pick up the phone, make one more call, one more attempt to get to the bottom of something, because I feel like people give up too easily.
Right.
And that's a problem. I mean, I think I read some study a long time ago when my kids were younger about the amount of time that American parents allow for their kids to try and figure something out before they help them. And it was like minutes.
Yeah, like non-existent.
Versus, it was I can't remember if it was Japan or China or some other country. It was like an hour,
Yeah.
before they would attempt to help them.
Well, that's where the growth happens.
Exactly. And so I guess it's a dual situation of agents I want to teach them how to find the information, find the resources, to learn the information, to share the information in a consistent manner with their clients, but also that level of professionalism when they're working through a transaction on behalf of their client. Because again, it's not about them. It's not about their paycheck.
Right.
It's about the needs of their clients. Getting on the phone with that other person, because I don't know about you, but have you ever had this where through email or text, there's an assumed tone?
Oh, yeah.
That is just so hard, especially when you're working through a situation that maybe already feels a little
You got to have
uncomfortable,
tact
awkward.
through what you're doing.
Right. And if you just pick up the phone, it is amazing how many things you can resolve
Oh, yeah.
with a phone call. And you can also do a better job of explaining, hey, listen, this is why my clients are asking.
Mhm.
I've had situations before where the other agent thinks the question the client is asking, say something about flood zone. We're in Arizona. We have a lot of floods.
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
really a huge...
For anybody
there's
not in
areas.
Arizona,
Right.
we do not get a lot of rain, in case you're wondering.
We get a lot of rain, but we have a system in place to deal with it during the short windows we get a lot of rain.
Yeah.
And
A lot all at
so-
one time.
Right. And I had a transaction once, and the other agent was just so up in arms, and he did not want to ask his sellers anything. He thought our questions were ridiculous and a waste of time, and he was creating this so then, of course, our buyers thought, well, they must be hiding something. Something must be going on. And they're extrapolating this whole story
Right.
in their head on both sides. So I had to pick up the phone and say, hey, guy, listen, they come from a place in the Midwest where flooding is a very real concern.
Yeah.
And they literally had a house essentially totaled out due to a flood. So this is a hot button for
A
them.
legitimate concern.
And while I understand why you think this is a negligible, silly question and not worth the time, for their peace of mind,
Right.
we need to help these people understand what they're asking about and provide those answers.
100%.
And take the ego out of it.
Yep.
At the end of the day, our job is to get them across the finish line.
Pure and simple.
If these are the homes they want and the terms they want.
Right. No, I love that. It reminds me of, the parable of the 4 blind men and trying to describe the elephant.
Oh, I
Have you
haven't
ever-
heard of this, and I think I know where you're
You heard
going,
of it?
but it's been
So
a long
each
time.
blind man is touching a different part of the elephant. And they all describe it as something different. One is touching the leg, and they think that it's the trunk of a tree. One is touching the trunk, and they
Right.
think it's a snake. And then, and so they all have these different opinions. And I'm just like, man, if they would just talk to each other,
Right.
then they would be able to get the whole picture, as opposed to moving forward with the wrong perception of
Yes.
whatever it is. And I think that what you're describing just bleeds over into so many other aspects of life, whether it is a marriage, a friendship, in your career, with your boss.
Right.
That happened to me. My boss sent me this email, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired. I'm
Right.
going to be destitute. And I just picked up the phone instead of emailing him back, and it was just like, hey, just kind of want to, how are we doing?
Sure.
Here's what's going on with me. Here's what I'm doing. And so there was just a misperception, and instead of it continuing, or
bitter trail.
or becoming worse,
Right.
we just talked.
Yeah.
And then it was come to find out that we both had the same goal. And so we both moved forward to correct that. And so I think that's fantastic advice for anybody in any situation. Pick up the phone and just ask a question.
Right.
Go and ask the person a question.
Well, I also think that you're probably around my age, maybe a smidge younger. I'm trying to extrapolate the amount of children you have versus
Yeah.
gray hair versus mine.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've got a lot of children. I have my 6th coming in June. And so if you want to know what having 6 kids is like, it's imagine Sharknado, but with children instead.
Right.
It's-
Hey, I grew up in very large families.
Yeah, it is messy, it is loud, everything breaks. I think I was just making food and I stepped away for a second and I come back and there's like candy canes in my quesadilla.
In May.
And I just ate it anyway. I was just like,
Right?
I don't want to make another one. Anyway, but go on.
So where I was going with that is I feel like we came from an era where we didn't have Google at our fingertips.
Right.
We didn't have the ability to text or email. If we wanted to find something out, we had to talk to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And because you had to talk to someone, whether it was over the phone or face to face,
Right.
you could hear inflections. You could hear tones. And
Right.
it really cut through a lot to be able to do that. And I think today we're a little bit shortchanged
Absolutely.
by not having that
Mhm.
ability to just clearly come across, communicate, and get to the heart of things much quicker.
Right.
So in our industry, it's unfortunate. Most people are working at the ones that are doing a lot of transactions are working at a very high volume, high pace, and we're moving quickly. And we need answers quick.
Mhm.
But there's a lot to be said sometimes to slow down, pick up the phone, just solve the problem, just
Right.
get it taken care
And
of.
those tools are great. Technology's great. And now kind of the buzz topic right now is AI.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
what is that going to do? And a lot of people approach it from fear. And a lot of people, when they talk about social media, they're like, oh, people are losing connection. And, this is bad. And while I can understand the sentiment,
Mm-hmm.
I think that you have to understand whether it's money, social media, technology, like on the internet, or really anything like that, that those are tools that aren't inherently evil or good. They're just a tool. And so if you're going to use them for nefarious purposes, then yes, that's bad. But you can turn around and you can use it for good. Someone asks you a
Absolutely.
question,
Okay.
like, just a second, let me look it up real quick. I mean, we have these tools at our
Oh, yeah,
fingertips,
yeah.
or to be able to connect with people via social media or share videos and all these different things. Or you can use it to become disconnected. You can use it to hide behind,
The
and
perfect Christmas card letter. Every single snapshot is perfect.
Right, exactly. It's this, which I love. You just showed me your cover photo,
Right?
and it's this like ridiculous,
Couple chins
you're
hanging
like,
out there.
going like this, and I mentioned my family photo of my 5 kids, and I'm, one of
Your
the kids
family's
is
exploding.
Yeah, that's very much. It's like, one kid's going over here and the other one's going over here. There's ripped pants and I'm just like laughing as I'm doing this, as all this is happening, because I was just like, this is life,
Right.
and that's in its beautiful chaos,
Amen. I have been in some hard places in my life and dealt with some really dark struggles, and you have to find a place that you can laugh. You can laugh with others. You can laugh at yourself. In the real estate world, everybody names their group or their team. It'd be the Angie team or the Tauscher team, and I just had to laugh. I thought, nobody could say my name. Nobody can spell it. And at the end of the day, they don't care,
Yeah.
But I love my dogs. Here's my little dogs, by the way.
Oh,
so you
cool.
know.
this is her office,
This
for
is-
those of you
yeah,
who
those are my
don't.
little
This is
dogs.
different from
One
the
of
last
most cherished
location.
gifts my husband ever gave me was he sent photos of our dogs to an artist in Russia who recreated these.
No
They're
way.
made out of clay. We had to say goodbye to my Milford last month.
I'm sorry.
That was really hard, but yeah. And so I thought, a lot of people out there like me are like me. They like their dogs, and so we became Rover.
I love that.
Because you can say it, you can spell it. It's easy to remember.
Marketable. You're
Right,
good.
right. So I think a lot of what our connection has been to is our ability to laugh at stuff,
Yeah.
find humor, find the silver lining. There's been so many things I could name in my life. I could walk around saying, boo-hoo, poor me.
Right.
Like, everybody's out to get me. Life is bad, whatever. But,
Which
and I know
that's a
your
hard
last thing is...
It's hard not to fall into that.
It is, and trust me, we all have our moments. We all have our, but I'm a firm believer of shake it off, move on. What did I learn from this? How can I change something about myself, my life, my business,
Right.
teach my family. You know, I had a situation recently, and my kids were like, "Who are they? I'm gonna go to their house." And no, you're not. You know,
Yeah,
what can we
calm-
learn
calm
from
down.
this? It's okay. Things
Yeah.
happen. We're not always going to see eye to eye on everything with everybody. That'd be living in a utopia fairy tale land.
Yeah.
And it was a great chance for our family to come back together and really talk openly, and talk about what could have been done differently. How do we approach this moving forward?
Right.
What does that look like?
Which again, that's good for any challenge. You know, you can either be problem focused or you can be solutions focused. You know, another quote from, again, this because I'm reading it 50 times in a row, but the Go Giver talks about the people that are hugely successful are hugely humble. You know, their ego
Yeah.
does not enter the room before they do, kind of a thing.
Right.
And I mean, I'm the most humble person that I know. Nobody says that about me. It's the weirdest thing. So that's why I have to keep telling people that I'm as humble as I am, because otherwise they just wouldn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
I love it, Mitch.
No, but I think that you know, I've said to a lot of people, I've never been accused of being the smartest person in the room, and that's fine with me, because the
Right.
smartest people get blamed for everything. But also, I think that it helps you grow, you know, and realizing that you
Yeah.
can grow from anybody that you talk to if you're humble about it, you know,
Yes.
because if you're going to be like, I don't know, I'm worth X amount of money at this point, and then somebody new to the scene comes in with an innovative idea, and you go, no, just stay in your lane. It's like, no, like, what's your idea?
Right.
What's your experience?
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Add value.
Yeah, how are you
Don't
gonna
be
learn?
afraid in your own industry to ask the person that is, you know, maybe hitting some markers that you'd like to hit, to take them to lunch. I am
Oh my
always
gosh,
shocked at
yes.
how people that I aspire to run my business like, or at a level that they're running at, are always so open.
I
They
know.
want to share.
It's
I love
amazing.
sharing. People never ask me, you know. I think sometimes there's just this assumption that, you know, someone is maybe untouchable.
Right. And so they don't even approach.
Yeah, so you don't approach them, you don't ask questions of them, and I've had several people in the last couple of years. Younger kids are usually not afraid to ask for anything, right?
Right. They ask for
They ask
everything.
over and over.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I've had some younger kids that were kind of interested, curious about what we're doing, and I said, "Get in the car, let's go.
Cool.
Just go do a ride along.
That's
you know,
awesome.
ask me questions afterwards. Why did you say this? Why did you do this? What was your thought process behind that?"
As an opportunity to mentor.
Yeah, it's
love
really
that.
interesting. So anyhow,
No, I love
totally
that.
went on a side thing
No,
there.
I'm super ADD, so I tangent all the time. But I
Hey
think,
guys, just want to take a quick break and say, if you guys are getting any value from this, if you guys are enjoying it, having a good time with us today, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Everybody says that, I know, but hey, can't beat them, join it. Just want to let you guys also know about our newsletter that we have coming out. It'll let you know about all the latest and greatest news that we've got, anything Bridging Divides related, all the events that we've got coming up, all of the different organizations, nonprofits out there that are doing awesome, amazing things that you can also be a part of. It'll also let you know about the book that I've got coming out, The Bridge Strategy. Super, super excited about that. And we'll let you know when that gets released. We'll also let you know about any additional nuggets of information and inspiration that we've got, different fun stories that we don't necessarily mention in these videos or episodes. So if that's something that interests you, then check it out in the description and we'll make you part of the Bridge and Divides family. Excited to have you here. We'll get back into
all the
it.
time. But I think that's a really good, again, goes back to what you're saying about asking questions. You know, with ultimately that is why I started this whole podcast, was because I noticed that, because I tried to do this 4 some odd years ago, where I tried to start a YouTube channel and kind of put information online for people to help them succeed. But ultimately it just crashed and burned. You know?
But you probably learned so much from
Yeah,
that experience.
yeah, absolutely. And it really started the train going, so that, but when I really saw the transformation was when I started meeting different people, so networking essentially. And we would have conversations like this, where you'd ask, hey, kind of, what are you doing? How did you get there? You know, what pieces of advice can you give? And my career development just went through the roof.
Yes.
And so hence what we're
Yes.
doing now.
Here we are.
Yeah, here we are, to just let everybody else in on these conversations, because I all of a sudden am having, you know, one of these meetings per week with somebody at least.
Yeah.
And just going, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. So these questions that I should have been asking myself to be able to move forward, I wasn't even asking because I didn't even know which questions to ask.
Right.
Because I hadn't been there. And so being able to find mentors, you know, like you're saying, you're still, I mean,
I have a coach. I've had a coach almost my entire real estate career.
Right.
I just feel strongly that there's always something to learn.
100%.
And there's always somebody else that has feedback that can help humble you even more. If you thought you were doing good, kind of smack you around a little bit.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but just opportunities to continue to finesse your craft, get better at your craft. You know, I'm an education junkie, self-proclaimed.
No, which again is one of the things we have in common.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, if I can continue to sharpen my skill set, how much better can I then help the people
100%.
I'm helping?
Yep.
And that is, at the end of the day, that's my end goal. And it's a big goal for my children, too, that Jason and I, we want to have our kids see us continue to learn and grow. There is no, you know, I got to the end of the road and I'm done. You know, there's next level. There's always something to grow, learn, be better, do better. And we're kind of at a point in our life where we have achieved a really great business success.
Right.
And our focus now has shifted a little bit. You know, I grew up very, very poor, as I mentioned before, and being able to donate, give money back to the community, my time, you know, where I grew up, most people worked a couple jobs to make ends meet because there was always more month than money. And so you were too exhausted to go and donate or do whatever. I was floored. I'm from Portland, Oregon. Came from a very, very large graduate. You know, our high schools were just packed to the gills.
Huge.
And
Mine was tiny.
Oh yeah, well,
my graduating class was like 80.
Okay, yeah, no, I think my graduating class was like 60, 70 people, something like that.
Yeah.
And never having more than like 3 parents show up at any given parent meeting for anything throughout. I can never remember. And then going to one of my kids, you know, here in Arizona. Of course, we're in a little bit more affluent community.
Yeah.
And seeing like the room full of parents just overflowing.
It's good to see.
Going, oh my goodness, but there's such a difference, right?
100%.
And when you're working, you know, from sun up to sundown, you don't have anything left over, or you can't get off time from work to go pour into and do these things for your kids, even though you want to.
Right.
Versus the ability to have, if you work a different position, to be able to do that. And so I guess where I'm going with that is, I know there's lots of people out there that still don't have that ability.
Right.
They're still working 2 jobs. They're trying to make ends meet. And how can we, as professionals, as we get better, do better, make more, pour back into helping somebody out there? Because I can tell you what, somebody sure helped me at some point.
Exactly.
Someone believed in me. Someone poured into me. I can name right off the top of my head 2 people immediately were just pivotal key points in my life. You know, coming from the big achievement as a female in where I lived was don't get pregnant before you graduate from high school. That was like the stunning success in our neighborhood.
As long as you did that.
Yeah. But you're also talking about, you know, we had like daycares in our middle schools.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm talking...
That was a major accomplishment.
No high bars there.
Yeah.
So, it's just the difference in the ability to be able to say to our kids, you know, different expectations. I'm the first person to graduate in my entire family.
Wow.
My husband actually as well. Both of us
Wow.
Are 3rd generation here. We're both the first ones to ever have graduated from college, a 4-year college in our family.
Wow,
and
that's
now the
great.
expectation, we just expect our kids to go to college.
Right.
you
Right.
know, whether they want to do something with it or not, I just tell them at least it's 4 more years you don't have to adult.
Yeah. No, and honestly, that we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a moment. But that's fantastic. So you mentioned, this actually segues really well into our next section here. You mentioned you're an education junkie, you know, and I love
Everything.
reading books. I mean, Audible, you know, I guess so. It's
I'm on
not
everything.
reading.
Audible, books,
Yeah.
documentaries. I'm on like number 468 day in a row doing my Duolingo.
Oh,
and that's after doing it for
fantastic.
like, you know, over a year the first time, and I missed a day.
Dang it. You were on the hot streak. No, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love Duolingo. No, but the one of the questions that we have here is I mean, I understand there's a lot of books out there and there's a lot of information, but what have some of them been for you that have really kind of stood out? You mentioned Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Never Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference.
By
Oh,
Chris Voss.
it's like the exact opposite of what I just said. Never Split the Difference. Got it.
Is one of my
That's so funny.
my all-time faves this last couple of years. I think I'm reading it for the 3rd time. It's super interesting because talks a lot about, even though he's a hostage negotiator for
jeez.
terrorism situations, and it's a
Sounds
really
like parenting.
yeah, kind of like parenting. Yeah, it's just like it.
Yeah.
So, minus the grenade.
Dude,
but
I swear my kids sometimes.
yeah, dude, you have it rough. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Like
know.
your kids are genius.
I know.
So-
Just like, I do not negotiate with toddlers or terrorists or toddlers.
Right?
They're like interchangeable
I
sometimes.
will admit, so I have an aunt that has 11, an aunt that has 9.
Whoa.
An aunt and uncle each, I think, have like 7, and then we were the smallest family. I'm the oldest of 5, and we were always the house everybody ended up at.
Yeah.
And I can remember my parents. You know, I was the oldest of all the cousins,
Oh, okay.
all of them, and them leaving me with all the kids and going to do whatever they were doing, garage selling, who knows, whatever.
Yeah.
And me going, you know what, kids, I know how to keep us busy. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna do a slip and slide today, and grabbing the bleach, throwing it down on that slip and slide. And I remember my mom coming, what is wrong with you? We'd been playing in it for about an hour, just slipping and sliding.
And your skin is all like breaking out in rash. This is going to be a great idea.
So, yeah, I get it.
Okay,
You know, I love
yeah.
your kids, you know.
Mad
they're
geniuses.
Candy canes in the quesadilla.
Candy
Wow.
cane quesadilla. I feel like that could be a thing.
Your kids rock.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, sorry.
Anywho.
Total, yeah.
So I just love this book because it just talks a lot about how the thought process, how people think and work, and how asking questions pulls out these concepts and beliefs and ideas that, you know, maybe you would have never gone down. You know, do you remember reading those books when you were young? It said, okay, if they went down the hallway to the left, turn to page 3. If they went down the hallway to the right, or they went up the staircase, turn to page 28.
That's fun. It's
and
like
you could create your own sequence. Going
create
through
your
the
own
book.
story,
And then
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
being the nerd I am, go back and read all 72 options.
Yeah.
But I just think it's fascinating because he really delves into that problem solving,
Yeah.
the asking questions, seeing it from the different perspectives, and the humanity of how that all balls together.
I love that.
And so I think it's a phenomenal book just from a life perspective, whether
Right.
you're dealing with toddlers
Mm-hmm.
or, you know, from a business perspective, and what does that look like? It's super interesting. I think some people, I hope they wouldn't think you're not trying to be manipulative. You're
Right.
just trying to understand.
Mhm.
So that's one of my faves right now.
Oh, I love that. And I think that one of the things I've been fascinated by is learning how to get past the barriers that we all put up to really connect on that personal level, which again is one of the, kind of the missions that I have with this podcast, is to be able to get past the brand, the name,
Yeah.
the logo, and really delve into kind of what's behind that. But I think that again, you can either use that to connect with people on a positive scale and really find out what it is that they're looking at and help them, or I've seen it firsthand in sales and customer service and
For
everything,
nefarious
which I've been in a long time. see how some people use all of these tricks and different things, and then they just come in and strike right when they can, and then they just take over because it's a manipulation tactic.
Right.
But I think that what the difference is really comes down to the intent. You know, are you
Absolutely.
trying to get past those barriers to take advantage, or are you trying to get past those barriers to be able to help and to really connect on the deeper level? You know, and so I love that. So my last segment here is called the Positivity Prize Fighter segment, which is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Because for me, the
Loosen up
positivity
for it.
positivity isn't for sissies. Let me tell you, you know,
Nope.
Are you kidding me? It is so much harder to be an optimist than it is to be a pessimist. But the reason behind this segment is that positivity isn't about having rose-colored glasses on all the time. It's about when life punches you in the face, knocks you on your butt, are you going to get back up, spit the blood out, and keep fighting? You know, a prize fight's not lost when you get knocked down. It's lost when you don't get back up, you know. And so at this point, I'd asked what has been a moment or moments like that, either in your personal or professional life, when that has happened. And we've touched a little bit on a few, but I just wanted to kind of open that up to you.
Yeah, so I had shared with you in regards to that, probably one of the biggest defining moments for our family and what really molded me into who I am and where I was going, and my thought process and belief when I came back from this situation, changed the entire landscape of our lives, both from a family perspective and from a career choice perspective.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Mitch, you had mentioned earlier, I was Army Reserves. It was right around the whole, you know, with 9/11 and all that awfulness that was happening. And I will never forget, we were pulling lots of extra weekends. So typically in the reserves, you work as little as one weekend a month.
I love how they put that, as little as.
Right. If you listen to that commercial real close. So we were pulling, you know, 2-3 weekends a month for a couple of months, and we knew something was ramping up. Something was going to happen.
Preparing you for something.
And I was in what looked like, it was called a CASH, or a combat support hospital. So when my unit was set up, it looked just like MASH. If you've ever seen the TV show MASH, where it's a tent hospital.
Yeah, I guess it depends on who's watching.
Yeah,
Because they're like, MASH,
for
like, what the heck?
For you, very, very young people, it's like a tent, but a hospital in the tent. It
sounds super fun.
Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. So, anyhow, so one of the things that we decided to do, it was in January. We wanted to take. We had a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old nursing baby, and so we decided we were going to take him. We're in Portland. We were going to take him up to Mount Hood, and just do a little tubing, and just have an opportunity to kind of break away as a family.
Yeah,
okay?
Which is important. I mean, you got to do that.
Yeah, it was super important. We were just super stressed out because we knew things were amping up, and we were very worried about that. And my combat support hospital is what they called a Tier 1, which means that they're usually the first to be called to action. And for those of you that don't realize why you would be in a tent in a combat support hospital, the word combat support. So basically you have your front lines where people are fighting, and then right behind the front lines
is the tent.
Yes, taking the injured, the wounded, and taking care of the first line triage. So we decided to take a little hot chocolate break in the car from the snow, and I'm literally nursing my 6-month-old, and I get the call, and they say, "Sergeant Justice, looks like you're having turkey for Thanksgiving," because they couldn't tell me where we were going or what we were doing, but that was code for we're going to Turkey. And then when I did, and I was gone the next day. Nursing, full on nursing my child.
Oh my!
I was gone at 5 a.m. the next day. And so, it was crazy. It's just crazy. It still gives me chills to think about what a moment it was for us. So
heartbreaking, like the shock. I mean,
yeah. Well, and the whole point of going to Turkey was we were going to land in Turkey and then drive our convoys. I drove a 5-ton in the military. That's a big old,
awesome.
You know, you're like 12 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
We were going to drive our convoy across the Turkey border into Iraq.
Got it. Okay.
So that we could be, in that front lines.
I got it.
And so it was just a crazy time in our lives. But here was the hard part. I had always done everything. I was a full-time corporate mom. My husband was full-time corporate as well.
Yeah.
But my corporate job was, 10, 15 minutes from our house. My husband's corporate job was almost an hour drive away.
So you were the one.
So I was the one that had to do the daycare drop off,
Right.
the daycare pickup.
Right.
I paid all the bills. I did all the grocery shop. My husband had no idea
Kids cry in the middle of the night.
who the mortgage was.
Oh, gosh.
He didn't know how to pay he'd never paid a utility bill. He'd never written a check. He didn't know how to write a check.
Wow.
Nothing. He knew nothing. And so I literally had to do a crash course for him in, hours while I'm prepping and getting ready to go overseas.
Oh, my gosh.
To take care of all of this. And
Wow.
here's what the baby likes, and here's how to pick him up. And the baby's never had a bottle before.
Right. 'Cause
Which you have 5 kids.
Yeah, exactly.
You
I know
that
how
could be a
that
problem.
transition is
Could be a problem.
awful.
Just saying.
Yeah.
His mom, who used to live in the cul-de-sac across from us, had gotten keys to her new house in another state literally the weekend before. So I can't even make this up. So he is by himself.
Yeah.
And my
Wow.
husband had been, really the miracle of all of this, though, is my husband grew up in a family where insert the kids when they're like 7 and we start playing t-ball. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
he was
very
not
kind of removed.
the hands-on dad. I did it all, and I came from a very large family, so I didn't think twice about it. I was the oldest cousin.
That was just
the
how it
oldest
was.
everything.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been taking care of babies since I could carry a couple of them on my hips at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and so it was crazy, Mitch. It was crazy, and I'll never forget. It took months while we're getting mobilized, where we're getting the anthrax shots,
Right,
and,
right.
our smallpox and yellow fever, and we're working 24-hour shifts. And this is back in the day when you didn't really have cell phones.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So I don't know what's going on, and I get the call, and he says, the baby fell down the stairs, but he's okay. He's sleeping.
That sounds like a dad answer.
Oh my gosh. I literally was,
What
I was
the
like,
heck?
I'm about to go AWOL. Because keep in mind, we were only, at that time where I was mobilizing
I'm
in
sorry,
Washington.
the baby fell down the stairs.
And keep in mind,
But
we
it's
had
okay 'cause
really
he's sleeping?
steep stairs. Like,
Jeez.
yeah. I can't even make this up. And at the bottom of the stairs is tile. Super steep.
But it's okay.
Stairs.
It's
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
I said, here's the deal. I'm about to go AWOL if you don't take our baby to the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Because I have had, my youngest sister will be disabled for life because she had a brain bleed.
Wow.
And ended up having a shunt and whatnot. So I knew the very real ramifications of what could happen. Now my sister's happened during birth, but it's the
But
same.
still,
It's a hematoma. It's the same
Yeah.
same thing.
Mhm.
And so because he had waited so long, they called CPS on him because they said
That
any
poor guy.
parent worth their salt
Would it-
knows you
Yeah.
don't let your kid go to sleep.
Right.
If he falls down the stairs.
Oh,
And he had
jeez.
waited an hour for his friend to drive over because he didn't know how to configure the whole get the 3-year-old in the car
Oh,
at
my
the same time
gosh.
as dealing with the baby, as going to the hospital, and it's 11 o'clock at night.
So you just lost.
So, yeah,
And-
it was terrible. So anyway, I say it all worked out. The baby's okay.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
goodness. He's got
CPS
a hard
didn't
knock. He's
take
got
your
a big
kids
head
away.
to this day. So, love him to pieces.
Yeah.
But it was such a defining moment in our life, him having to learn how to be the dad, the
Right.
only parent, to take over, to learn how to do.
Mr. Mom.
Yeah, to learn. Same thing, first time he had to grocery shop, he was scared, paranoid, so he had his friend drive an hour to sit in the car with one kid while he took the baby with him, But it was a big wake-up call. It was a big growing moment. I have so much respect for my husband and gratitude that this happened to us. At the
Yeah.
time, I thought it was the worst thing that could ever happen to me in my entire life. It was one of the darkest moments. I was, crying 24 hours a day. I was dealing with physical issues of not having my baby with me and my 3-year-old. And it was awful. For years, I couldn't talk about it without crying because it was
So traumatic.
So traumatic. We ended up having to do some counseling. Our
Good.
baby ended up having some problems later. He was very slow to develop with physically and walking and talking. He ended up having a lot of anxiety and OCD, and we had to do counseling as a family and then him separately. Thank goodness he grew out of it.
Well, thank goodness that you did what you needed to do.
But despite all of that,
yeah,
I'm still thankful.
right.
I'm still thankful because my husband would never be the man he is today and the dad he is today and the husband that I can count on if that hadn't happened. We are so lucky and we're so blessed.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to go to the front lines. Turkey ended up deciding that they didn't want to be seen as an ally or
Got it.
accomplice
Yeah,
in
yeah,
letting
yeah,
us
yeah.
cross their border. They were okay with us landing there. They just didn't want us crossing their border.
I see. Yeah.
I did get stuck stateside for a really, really long time. But it was such a blessing.
Yeah.
And if you had asked me that at that time or in the first 5 years after it happened, because
Yeah.
we were dealing with all the
Mhm.
therapists and
Everything
the
that came
challenges with
after.
our son and,
Yeah.
and our daughter regressing on wetting the bed and things
Oh,
like
gosh.
that.
Yeah, just
I
all
would have
sorts of
said
stuff.
this tore our family apart.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny? Hindsight, perspective,
Yep.
growth, what a incredible opportunity and change that was for us. Heck, I mean, at the way, was already starting to feel a little bit of resentment about being an only parent, what felt like it at that time.
Yeah.
Who knows if we would have still been together?
I know.
You know?
Right. Yeah.
You just never, we didn't take a left at the hallway. We took page 28, went up
Yeah,
the
I
stairs.
love that. I love
And, we're now coming up on this year will be our 25th year. Don't.
Congrats.
Okay, don't laugh at me.
If we're watching,
You
be
can put
totally
this in the
wrong.
blooper. So we had a lot of loss last year. A lot of family members passed and some clients, and so it hit home. We decided to get our will and trust updated.
Yeah.
Because it'd been a long time,
Mhm.
and so unbeknownst to me, our attorney asked me for our marriage date.
Oh, and
and
you're
then
like-
she had Jason send over something because he was filling out some extra paperwork, and that had the marriage date. We both put a different date, and then we both went, no. We had a plaque made in our house, and it has our marriage
Were you
date on.
both wrong?
That one's not right either. I can't even make this up.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So she's just dying. She's like, "How did neither of you know when you got married?"
We got. I
And
think.
we're
I
like,
think we got married
Let's
at
take
some
the ego
point.
out of it. Okay, we're just happy and in love.
Yeah.
And 20-something years later,
We
not
might
really
have
sure
gotten
the
married.
year. Wait, it was 99. What are we in 2000? 24 years of marriage.
Hey, there we go.
This year.
Got it.
This year, and of course we were dating for a couple of years prior.
Yeah.
So going strong, but
I love
yeah.
that.
So that was a huge opportunity. So all I could say is to anybody that feels like they're in the darkest moment of their life, feels like they're just entering this tunnel that you don't know where this is going, what this is going to look like, and that there's no hope, no recovery. You don't know why, but there's a reason. There's a purpose, and it's not for us to know right now. I feel strongly that it will reveal itself down the road, and it's our job to take that information, that knowledge, and find something there to make your life better, purposeful, deeper, meaningful, whatever that looks like. I don't know what it looks like, but you can't embrace that darkness. You've got to move past it to find the other side.
Love that. Thank you so much for sharing, because that's some pretty
Are you
heavy
tearing
stuff.
up over there?
Maybe. No, I'm not.
I know.
I'm not crying.
I know,
You're crying.
I know the first. I held it together this time, but I know we were talking about it before.
I know, and
I
we're like,
definitely was crying.
I know. Well, because it's like I went through depression when I was in the military, and it's hard not to. You're
Yeah.
removed from your family, and I've been away from them for months, and
Yeah.
that's a whole other story. But like you said, you can't. What's the? I love the phrase, the quote. I can't remember who said it, but it said, "When you're going through hell, keep going."
Yeah. I think that's like a song.
Something.
AC/DC?
Probably.
I
I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I love
But
that
it's
though.
true.
It's that you have to keep, taking the, step after step until you do get to that bend in the tunnel. Sometimes the light is at the end of the tunnel, but the tunnel goes like this,
Yeah.
and so you can't see it,
Yeah.
and you're not going to unless you keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. So for our listeners and viewers, how can they find you? Where should they go?
Sure. So we're located out of Mesa, Arizona, but we service and help people all across the greater Phoenix metropolitan area, all the way from Maricopa, Casa Grande, on up to Cave Creek, Anthem
Beautiful.
to Anthem, you name it, everything
Okay.
in between. We stay in our lane, though. If it's outside of our area, Tucson, up in the mountains, I'm a firm believer, even though I'm licensed to help people, that they deserve someone who works that area,
Cool.
can take great care of
Cool.
them. But they can find us at roverrealty.net. All of our information, how to contact us, is there. And we're in the middle of purchasing and putting build out of
That's so
our
exciting.
own commercial location right out here on Power and Main in Mesa.
Beautiful. I love that.
And,
Congrats. I mean,
yeah,
that's
thank you.
exciting.
You know, that came out of a dream of so many of our sellers have dogs. I mean, you know, like attracts like. A lot of times, a lot of our people have
Your
dogs.
vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah, and so it's so hard for them in the summertime to have to leave the house for sometimes a couple hours at a time with the dog and the kids and everything, you know. And so I've dreamt about and I've wanted something for a long time where we had a physical location. They could just come on over,
Love
and
it.
if they needed to work or they want to watch a movie or just have a
Cool.
hangout space, that they could bring their dogs and safely have a space that they feel comfortable and safe to
Great.
do that.
I
And
love
so
that.
we're in the middle of building that out. We're excited
Love that.
about it.
I love it. And that's such a cool concept too. I absolutely love that. But thank you again.
Thank you.
For,
This
for
has been
being
fun.
on our podcast. And for all of you, please put comments in the comments below. Ask us questions if you have any questions for Angela. If there's anything that that we talked about that you'd like more information on, please just reach out to us. We're more than happy to do that. And also, as always, if you have anybody that you guys are interested in having on the podcast or being featured, or any professions or anything that you have questions about, please also let us know. I love you guys, and as always, keep being amazing.